So it's 2 o'clock and we're all project managers and we always start on time, right? So my name is Greg Kiefer. I'm the moderator for the session, and I have 3 esteemed colleagues here. Karen Ruiz, Vicky, Sady, and Barbara Taylor. And I'll let them do their introductions in a minute. I want to make sure you're in the right session. This is sustaining your organization's readiness to ensure successful project implementation. You're in the right session? Yeah, and Carol's here, so she's on stage.
What?
Oh, you're going to do that here? Oh, are you going to do the continuity thing, or?
That's news to me.
No, just. That's all right. So I wanted to thank the panel members for their time, for participating in the preparation for this. It takes a lot of work to not only find people that want to volunteer their time, and once they volunteer their time, we're pretty persistent as a team of advisors in hounding them until they give us the time they need that we need to put together the material. So I want to thank the advisory board members, Carol Nordstrom, just walked in. Carol Steichen, who's in the back here. Josh Nisbet, he's not here, but there's other representatives from CGI here they have to sing. And you brought your instruments? Okay, all right. Josh is a rock star. So, Cheryl Holtling, they're both back east, so they're working on some other stuff. But they were actively participating in the creation of this session and the topic and refining it. And then myself. So I got to have fun doing this. Again, you kind of saw some of the stuff this morning. It's pretty much covered how we go about doing these things. I want to encourage you to participate in these next year. I think they're going to continue this forum and maybe be up here. So you better take some good notes because you'll be on the spot next year. So, and then I got one more request. Carlos made this request. We always got to support Carlos. He's a leader for the IT community. You have your wallets out? Go ahead and take your purses and wallets out. I need to pull something out of there. Go ahead and do it. This is an exercise. See if you're awake after lunch. You got it? You got your wallet out? Okay. So Carlos made a request, and I really want to support him. So he asked for you to pull out 3 business cards and exchange them with someone else. I want you to exchange cash. So if you're ready for that, I'd like for you to exchange money with the person next to you, and then they owe you something, right? So anyway, if you have a business card, please exchange it with the people around you. If not, just enjoy the conversations here during the session. So, so what I'd like to do, oh good, this is good. You're actually networking. This is really cool. That's the whole point of this is learning and networking, right? So when you're on your projects, and you're actually trying to solve a problem, you better get some names. You better have some names in your pocket to call on. You better have a network that's beyond the team within your organization, or especially if you have a large organization, continue to extend that. But reach out to the 3 people here that are willing to share their stories. So what I'd like to do is have them introduce. You get two minutes. Introduce yourself and say whatever you like.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karen Reese, and currently I'm the project director for the CalHEERS project, which is a joint venture between Covered California and the Department of Healthcare Services, and it's the system that's supporting the implementation of the Affordable Care Act in California. It's also one of the fastest implementations of a system of its size that I can talk about as we go through some of the questions today. And I can tell you it's been so far, and it's certainly not over, but it's been an absolutely extraordinary trip and ride through this project implementation to date. So I'll be using some of that experience as we go through some of the questions today. Prior to coming on CalHEERS, I was the project director over the CalHEERS, my CalHEERS implementation that launched on September 19th of 2011. You know, we never forget these dates. And you know, that was also a life-changing experience to work on that project. That was about a $500 million plus project that implemented and serves all of the California state employees, a good chunk of local government employees, as well as all of the school employees. So both of these projects that I'll be touching on as we go through these questions are life-changing experiences, and I talked to some of my fellow project teammates, and I'm not sure how many more life-changing experiences I can go through, but anyway, I hope that I can help you as you embark on your life-changing experiences.
I heard that. So my name is Vicky Sady. I am the Deputy Director of the California Medicaid Management Information System. And I'm going to just share, I went to them in October of 2010, and we did a major lift and shift. And so what we did is we took the application from one vendor and installed it in a new vendor's environment. Our current FI is what we call them, the fiscal intermediary, is Xerox. And now we're in the process of doing a system replacement now that we've done that lift and shift. And so that's where I'm going to bring my experiences. I have also been on the unemployment project, the UI mod. I've also been on Fiscal, and I'm very happy for Barbara. She's going to share some good news in her piece of it. And, I agree with Karen. These are very, very tough projects. We have a lot to offer. We've been through the ups and downs. We've had our boxing gloves on and taken them off, and we've had the hugs and the kumbayas, and, it's a roller coaster, and it does take a toll. And, I feel very fortunate to be able to share some of the experiences that I have with the rest of you. So, and I'm very excited that this whole project management series this time has really had a focus on agile. And I want to thank Karen, right? My boss, Toby Douglas, is on her board, and he saw what can happen when you do that type of implementation. And so we are now embarking down that with the CA-MMIS effort as well. And so Karen, paved the way for DHCS, and I'm very excited about that. So thank you, Karen.
So I'm Barbara Taylor, and I'm the project executive for the Fiscal project. I have been on Fiscal since 2009, January, so about 5.5 years. I actually came as the partner business executive from the Department of Finance. So I actually come from the business side with a budgeting background. And then January of 2012, I moved over and to the project side as the project executive to help lead the project we were just had finished the procurement. I'm the one who got to sign that really big contract, so I'm one of the people that should be having tomatoes pelted at me. I think we would all be people who are having tomatoes pelted. If you were at the opening this morning, you know what we're talking about. But the three of us, I think, are also going to be the people who can prove that really big projects can be successful. I think that what we're going to hopefully bring to you this afternoon are some lessons that we've learned and some tips that we can bring you on how to keep your organizations going with big projects or small. That there are rough spots, but there are good spots as well, and so hopefully we can give you some tips and get some feedback from you as well.
Thanks. We appreciate that you're here because we happen to have 3 leaders here that are working on very large projects. And if you know the statistics on large projects and you've read the recent task force reports that have come out of the governor's office, you'll see the statistics are pretty dismal. And so I really wanted to have these 3 people here because they are very focused on making sure their projects are successful. I call it changing the statistic. So we want to take that number and make it a much larger number versus a smaller number. And I think these 3 people have a really good chance of doing that. So for some reason, they developed a theme today with the business cards and telling jokes. And I'm not very good at telling jokes, but I'm going to try anyway. So here I have 3 different jokes, and we're going to intermix those in the middle of the session so you stay awake and I maintain your attention. And it won't be as funny as Gopal's. I thought his stuff was fantastic. So is the glass half empty or half full? Half full, optimist, pessimist, all that stuff. Well, you're actually a project manager, right? So what's your real response? Yeah, the glass is twice as large as it needs to be. Anyway, all right, we got a few more of those. Yeah, all right. Some of them are related to the topics we're covering today. So we've got, what we've done is we've divided this up into 85 different topic areas to be covered. No, we have 7 topic areas, and we're going to be covering, let me get to the right page here. You notice there's no PowerPoint. Isn't that kind of cool for a change? I want your undivided attention, and I want you to focus on asking questions and interacting with the panel members here. So we have 6 topic areas: customer commitment, governance, organizational culture, developing and building that, team commitment for the long haul, especially on your type of projects that are marathon projects, managing expectations, and the secret sauce. You have to hang around for that one. And it's not a cooking class either. So what I'd like to do is, this is a continuation of kind of the morning session. Our team of advisory members actually worked on the morning session and this session. So morning was getting ready, and this is actually sustaining. So I'd like to kind of start out with one of the first questions, and this is around customer commitment, especially on long-term projects. So this is kind of open up to anyone, all of you, to talk about. But a lot, and you've demonstrated via your biographies that you've worked on a lot of different projects. So what techniques have you used to ensure customer commitment and engagement through the life of your project? Any order? So how about you, Barbara? You got the mic.
I can go first. So we have done several things. One of the things that we talked about actually in the morning session was really trying to determine who your stakeholder groups are and what's important to them. So, you know, with Fiscal being so large, we have a lot of stakeholder groups. We have our steering committee and our executive sponsor who have obviously very different interests. You know, they want to know issues that need to be escalated. Are we, you know, where are we? Are we, you know, what are our metrics and are we meeting them? We have, 200 departments who are in different waves. So we have sponsors in those individual departments who have different needs at different times for information. We have end users throughout the state who want information. So we also do quarterly forums where we try and take information that's valuable at the time. So we have given demonstrations of the functionality that's coming. We've had Wave 1 departments come and talk about their experiences to other departments. So we've tried to bring information that's available and interesting to kind of that broad user group. We've used, monthly newsletters that we send out to basically anybody who wants to be on our newsletter kind of email system. We have what we call our customer impact committee. So we have a steering committee made up of our partners. I don't know how many of you know Fiscal is actually a partnership between the state controller, state treasurer's Department of General Services, and the Department of Finance. But it's also touching most every department in the state in some way. So we also have a customer impact committee made up of all the departments in the state that includes a voting member on our steering committee. So we have quarterly meetings with our customer impact committee where we take important decisions we've made about like design decisions and business process changes to them and give us an opportunity to vet those with them, let them give us feedback. They can use that voice then as part of our steering committee. We've, obviously found change management is just a critical aspect of this. So we started really early from the moment we signed the contract before the vendor was ever on board with, we took road shows out. We spent our first summer of 2012 doing road shows with all of the agencies, with all the chief deputies and the departments and all the department heads. Here we are, we're real, we're coming, and, getting out there in front of them. So it's really important to know who your customers are, know those individual groups, and understand what they need to know, and really to try and kind of put together your plan to keep your information fresh and current and meet those needs on a really regular basis, would be kind of my input on it.
Those are a lot of the same things I think that all of us that are running these large projects. I call it getting all of the stakeholders in my boat, right, with their oars, rowing in the same direction I am, not in a different direction. And the ways that we go about doing that is making sure that the business owners are making the business decisions, right? That the IT is not driving the business, that the business is driving. When you allow them to drive and they get into your boat with their oars, then you can move towards success. So we've just now started our system development part of it, and our business owners are the ones who are driving. We have 5 different releases, and they're the ones who are helping to develop what each one of those releases looks like. In addition to that, they play a very big part in our change control. So any changes that have to take place, our business owners are at the table, and we're going down a process that we say we don't want to pave over the cow path. So my sponsor is very, very keen on looking what the system, because we've purchased a system, right? So we're not doing development from the beginning. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're looking at our business processes to see if our business processes can be adapted to use the system instead of changing the system to meet California's. So that's very, very big, and that you have to rely on your business folks to be at the table. The other thing that we have done is we've done a whole effort of developing the as-is process to make sure that, I mean, that's always a good business thing to do. It's not always done, but what it really does, it allows the business to go through their business process and make sure they really understand what they currently do. Because if they've had a system for 30 years, a lot of them just, do naturally what they were taught when they first came on board. So it really allows us to get into the bowels of the system and to understand what it is that their current system is going to do, so that they have a really good idea of what we're going to do when we establish the 2B. So those are some of the things on the CA-MMIS project that we're working on.
Yeah, and I think on both the CalPERS and the CalHEERS project, one of the things that I like to do, in addition to everything that Barbara and Vicky shared, is really get back to the fundamentals. And for some of you that if you went to the lunch speaker, he was talking a little bit about that the 80-20 rule. And I think that really, really holds true in these big projects, because I think people get so enamored by the bright, shiny objects that they can get in a big system. And you have to keep reminding them that even though, it's really hard sometimes to help your customers understand that even though you're paying a lot of money to put these big systems in, it still comes down to getting the fundamentals right. So, making sure that you, when you established the project in the beginning, going back to that and continuing to ensure that the reason you started the project in the beginning is still the right reason why you're moving forward. So, for instance, on the CalHEERS project, the goal was get as many of the 5 million uninsured people in California, get them into insurance, whether it was Medi-Cal or whether it was a new Covered California plan. If they're eligible for subsidies, get them subsidies. So everything that we did leading up to the start of the open enrollment and beyond is always geared towards how is this going to help us get people enrolled and keep them enrolled so that they can have the health coverage that they need. Same thing on the CalPERS project. That was one that, and I think we've got a question that'll be coming up, so I won't dwell too much on coming in mid-project. But, you get to a point where these projects are so big that they can just die of their own weight, literally. And you just you're just paralyzed and you can't move forward. You've got to get back to those fundamentals and ensure that your sponsors and your steering committees and your business owners are all looking at every change, every baseline piece of functionality with an eye towards, is this going to help me meet the fundamental goals of the project?
So as you're aware, this is an opportunity to ask questions with anonymity. And they're videotaping the back of your head, so they won't know who's asking the question. So if you want to go ahead, we're going to make this interactive throughout the sessions. And again, we have those 6 topic areas, but now's your chance to ask questions. Does anybody have questions, or you want to talk about how you've made your worked with the customer commitment on your projects, how you get them engaged, how you maintain that? Yes.
The question is for Barbara in regards to the fiscal.
Yeah. And can you speak up too, because we got to.
So
You have to stand up, though.
Relating to the fiscal project, I know our department is deferred. So you mentioned earlier, you identify the stakeholders and what's important to them. I understand you identify a department liaison from each of the departments, and that liaison is responsible for communicating the message out to their constituents within their department. So how often, for the deferred departments, how often the communication gets distributed out?
So because we've been doing the wave approach, it's been we've been focusing on wave 1. So we've been working more with the wave 1. We've had less communication with the later waves. Deferred are going to actually be touched as part of wave 2 with the statewide procurement. So there are going to be a lot more messages coming to the liaisons now for deferred departments. There's going to be more messages coming actually sort of to everybody with the statewide procurement and coming in wave 2. So, and then, again, with the quarterly forums, we try and get that message out to all of the liaisons so that they can share that with everybody. We've actually been running our last forum. We had about 600 people show up. Wow. So we're, trying to really get the message out so that people can have an opportunity to come and learn more about Fiscal as often as possible.
And one last question. It's only the department liaison is allowed to communicate with the change management office, or other people who is interested can sign on or be part of the forum?
So we have a change management email address that you can ask questions, but we do try and filter through the liaison just because we have 60 people in our change management office, and if we had 230,000 state employees trying to contact them, it would be too overwhelming. So we do really try and funnel it through the liaison just as a method of controlling. We want to make sure that we are answering departments' questions, and we try and keep track of that, make sure we get the right experts answering the questions, get it back, the information back and forth. So you're welcome.
Any other questions, or?